Here are your slides. Go for
Okay,
it.
so let me explain this. I try to set the example for my students. So what they're seeing before their eyes is me developing an argument for them for the whole year. So what I have them do, besides reading many nonfiction texts, I have them read 4 full-length nonfiction texts about the historical axis of the American dream from 4 different perspectives. So the first perspective is by Jim Cullen. The American dream is from the European American perspective. And then we go on and talk about the Asian American perspective, Reaching Out for the American Dream by Driven Out by Gene Falzer. Then we go on to Sonia Sotomayor's My Beloved World, which talks about the Latin American perspective. And then last but not least, we're on the Space Coast, right? So we read Hidden Figures by Margot Lee Shutterly, which focuses on the African-American female perspective. Now, you're probably wondering, what is all this stars tier, diddles tier? So if you could go to the next slide. Okay. Yeah, keep going. All right.
Okay, right there.
Yeah, right here. So what I have my students do each week, so they do this, so they write like 12 rhetorical analysis journals for the whole year. So what they're doing is per quarter, they're creating 4 rhetorical analysis journals. For the first 2 quarters, they're using stars tier. So let me explain. I'll assign like 50 pages a week for the students to read independently. And then what they have to do is pull out 3 to 4 quotes from whichever I assign, the pages I assign for that week. And then they have to take 3 of those quotes and analyze the quotes according to stars. And notice stars stands for subject, thematic statement, audience, author's attitude, rhetorical strategy. Then from there, they have to create a rhetorical analysis paragraph using the tier method. So title, author, genre, evidence, analysis, response. If you go on, or actually go back really quick. Okay, there. This is what that looks like. So the kids will see something like this, where it gives them instructions on what to do. And as you can see, it says, using the information you gleaned from the stars analysis, create a tier paragraph. And it tells them they can use either the West Shore or Mile High format. So to give the shout out to 2 of the high ranking schools in my district, West Shore and Mile High. If you go to the next slide, and then go to the next slide. Okay. No, go back. Sorry.
That's okay. No worries. We are relaxed and conversational here. No worries.
Can you go back one more?
Absolutely. Let me go back to here.
Okay, no, this is good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, just go ahead and so what we do is, before my students even read the book, I introduce it by explaining the experiences that each culture went through in order to reach for the American dream. So as I said, with Jim Cullen's The American Dream, we talk about the European American perspective. And so I have my kids fill out, I know you guys have probably heard of the acronym REHUGO. So I have them create a chart that says REHUGO, and then I'll give them, this is a sample FRQ3 prompt that was created, and they'll have to document evidence. So again, claims and evidence, right? Document evidence. So they can eventually, after they finish reading the book, respond to this FRQ. So whenever I have them read those books, I kill 2 birds with 1 stone, because we're preparing for FRQ2 and for FRQ3. So if you go on.
Right there.
Go to the next one.
All right.
Okay. So this deals with the FRQ2. So we're still dealing with the same book, right? Can you go back really quickly?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want me to go right there?
No, the next one. Okay. No, the previous one. I'm sorry.
That's fine. There you
go. The previous one. There we go. No, previous one.
Oh, there's a lag.
Right here.
I'm so sorry.
Perfect. No problem.
Okay.
So what I have my students do, like I said, they have to create a rhetorical analysis journal, right? And then they're doing their stars analysis. They pull out their quotes, and then they write their paragraph according to either the West Shore or the Mile High method, which I'll show you in a few moments. And then this is what I have them do. I have them take turns standing up in front of the class, and they have to read their quote that resonated with them for the week, even though they have to create like 3 to 5 of these. And then they also have to read the rhetorical analysis paragraph. And then I give them immediate feedback on how they can improve, or I also tell them, what they did well, but I also give them feedback on at least one thing they can improve upon. And we do that at each week. So we do that like 12 times. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
So that should help. So can you understand my despair when I saw that 2.4 for row B? I'm thinking we've done this all year. Okay,
Yeah.
and then Diddles. Okay, can you go back really quickly?
Yeah.
Diddles tier, yes. Okay, so we do stars tier the first semester, right? So August to December. Then when January rolls around, I make them dig deeper rhetorical analysis. So then we do Diddles tier. So Diddle stands for diction, imagery, details, language, syntax, and then tier stays the same. And so we do that. I have the kids pull out 3 to 5 quotes. They analyze the quotes according to Diddles, and then they use the tier to create the rhetorical analysis paragraph. So they're basically building rhetorical analysis paragraphs. They're building row 3 for FRQ2. That's what I have them work on all year. You can go to the next one, please. Okay, so this is the format I use. A couple years ago, I observed West Shore and Mel High. Mel High is my alma mater. So I guess I'm a traitor for teaching at Vieira High, right? Instead of teaching at the school I graduated from. But I observed the teacher who taught AP Lang at Mel High and the teacher who taught AP Lang at West Shore. And I told them, my kids, they're not doing as well as they could with FRQ2. Do you have any suggestions for me? They both gave me this. So Mel High gave me the 5-sentence rhetorical analysis paragraph format. West Shore gave me the 8-sentence rhetorical analysis format. Now, some people may say, this is formulaic. I always tell my students this: listen, if you don't know where to start here. But if you already have in your head, I think I want to take my writing in another direction, I'm still going to address all the bases, go for it. And this is usually successful. I have kids who will start with the Mel High format beginning of the year, and then come December, they rush over to the West Shore format. So I think what happened with my kids this year, for them to get that 2.8 instead of the 3 or even the 4 out of 4, from August to about December, they only had to write 3 to 5 entries per journal. And then when January rolled around, they had to write 5 to 7. So I probably burned them out, So I think this year what I'm going to have them do is stick with the 3 to 5 the whole year, because with the Diddles, they're digging deeper. That's just my observation.
So Agile, I really appreciate your reflection here on looking at it, because one of the things that I work with people when I'm working with teachers, and I know if any of you have been to my workshops, you've heard it. It's the idea that practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent.
Exactly.
And so if you've got them doing these reflections and there's something that they're not doing correctly, but they keep doing it over and over again, it just gets so ingrained. And so, yeah, I love the way you're reflecting on that. And I think it's really important for us when we're asking them to do these things. We think, okay, am I expecting something I haven't taught? And I'm not saying you're going that far, because clearly you're teaching these things, but it's worth looking at and saying, okay, if we're doing this thing a lot and my instructional planning report doesn't show that it's improved like it should, then something has to give. So I mean, and the way we kind of have to, as experienced teachers, bare our belly and say, I got to fix something. So thank you for that. I think that's huge. And people in the chat were loving you sharing these materials. And yes, everyone, you will get a link to the recording. And you will also get the PowerPoint slides. Agile, if that's okay with you, they'll get the PowerPoint slides as well. That'll be included as part of it. And I'm going to share.
Can I show you the last two?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. This is great.
Okay. All right. So listen, after every FRQ, because I build my year, my instructional year around each FRQ. We start with FRQ3, go to FRQ2, and end with FRQ1. After I teach the FRQ, then I give them a timed FRQ. And then once I give it back to them, I hand them this color coding sheet. So this is the one for FRQ1, but I give them one for each FRQ. And then what they have to do is this. They look at the score that they were assigned, and I always provide feedback. And, I give them their score, their 3 row score. And then I have them take their rough draft and complete a color coding analysis. So what they have to do is check their introduction, according to these criterion. All right. And then what they have to do is this. They take out colored pencils and they look at their body paragraphs only. So again, working on row B. And then what they have to do is, anytime they see any of these components, they have to color them according to the colors that I have here. If they're missing any colors, then that means they have holes in their essay. So what that means is when they get ready to revise their essay, they have to include that component of the color that they're missing. And
Love
then
it.
they
And I
also,
mean, so one of the things I'm going to talk about later on is students doing the identical things. And so